Every gamer has asked this question at least once. How the hell did the testers miss this? And that's a very fair question. I get it. If a bug is obvious enough for millions of players to find it on day one, then surely somebody in QA should have found it first, right? Well, after spending years testing games for a living, I can tell you that answer is a lot more complicated than most players realize. Most people play games. I've spent years breaking them. Let's get into it. So, I know most players think that testing games is as simple as tester sees bug, tester reports bug, dev fixes bug, and boom, problem solved. If only it were that simple. There are thousands of bugs that I and many QA testers find and report. They do get fixed, or the game you love to play would never have been shipped. There's a priority system for bugs. First, you have the must be found and fixed 100% before a game is shipped bugs. Then there's the acceptable risk bugs. These are often the bugs players end up finding after launch. Now this is what most gamers don't know or fully understand. When finding a bug, I need to reproduce it, properly identify the steps to repro it, and I need to nail down the frequency of the bug. This is very crucial, all the while gathering evidence on the entire issue. Sometimes a bug happens once, and then it disappears. Now I'm spending hours trying to figure out what caused it. Was it the weapon, the location, the mission, the server, the save file? Any of those could be the reason. Now if I find a bug, sweet, but I'm not done there. I need to make it happen consistently. Once I can do that, now I have something the devs can actually investigate. Just because QA finds a bug doesn't mean we decide what happens to it. This is where most gamers misunderstand how development works. The bug you found on launch day may have already been known for months. And that's the part gamers don't like hearing. Sometimes QA found the bug, the developers know about the bug, the producers know about the bug, everyone knows about the bug. The discussion isn't does this exist, the discussion is can we afford to fix it before launch? Alright, big ass tester insight here gamers. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there's thousands of bugs in any game. These bugs all exist simultaneously. There's many teams that triage these bugs, but what you need to understand is that priorities change in a split second. As a tester, I have no say in the matter, and you start to quickly notice that some bugs are an acceptable risk. Let me give you an example of what an acceptable risk bug might look like. Alright, so imagine a bug where your character clips through the floor once every 50 hours. It's rare, maybe only happens in one specific location. I write the report, QA's done its job. Now the devs look it over and do their thing. They investigate and discover the problem isn't actually the floor. The problem is the system that's responsible for how the player interacts with the world. Now we're not just talking about fixing one floor anymore. We're talking about changing a system that affects the entire game. So the developers make a fix. They test it, we test it, and now players can no longer fall through the floor. Awesome, right? Except now another issue appears. Characters get stuck in terrain, enemies stop navigating properly, maybe something completely unrelated starts acting weird. At that point, the conversation changes. Nobody's asking, can we fix this bug? They're asking, should we fix this bug? Because if the original issue happens once every 50 hours and the new issues happen every 5 hours, the fix might actually be worse than the bug. Here's something players don't always think about. Every bug fix is basically a gamble. You hope you're fixing one problem, but software doesn't always cooperate. Sometimes you pull on one thread and suddenly 3 other systems start coming apart. That's why teams spend so much time evaluating risk. If you're on the team, what would you choose? Fix the bug and risk creating 5 more? Or ship with the original issue? But there's one more thing players don't always consider. A QA team might spend months testing a game, but once the game launches, millions of players are doing things that no test plan could ever predict. In a single weekend, the player base can generate more gameplay hours than a QA team could produce in months. So how did the testers miss that bug? Sometimes we did. We are human after all. And sometimes we found it months ago, but fixing it would have created even bigger problems. And let's be real here, millions of players discover things no QA team could ever predict. That's just fact. The reality is that game testing isn't about finding every bug. It's about finding the bugs that matter most before launch. Let's just be thankful we're not back in the cartridge era. Those bugs that got missed before the game shipped eventually became permanent features, because once that cartridge shipped, that bug shipped with it. So now I'm curious, before watching this, did you think QA simply missed these bugs? Or did you already know some of them were found months before launch? Let me know in the comments. Remember, I can't tell you where I've been, but I can tell you what I've learned. Have a good one, gamers, and I'll see you in the next one.